in order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Tri-Creek School Corporation of Students, Staff, and Community endeavors to be
A recognized leader for high achievement,
I'll read it. And exceptional growth.
Innovative and equitable approaches built upon strong community pride.
And provide all students with well-rounded educational experiences to prepare for future success.
Engaged to learn,
equipped to achieve, empowered to succeed.
alrighty. Thank you all for coming tonight. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Nothing? Alrighty. Public comment for agenda-related items. I don't have any. Gibraltar?
all right. We've got Gibraltar and Skillman here, and they're here to give school board and the community an update on our facilities.
Thank you, Andy. Members of the board, go ahead and advance the slide here. We present an update and progress for the projects for Tri-Creek. Tonight we'll talk about the central office update, the high school campus, intermediate school update, as well as talk about some of the preliminary planning as we move forward. Again, as a reminder, the scope of work for all these projects include the athletic campus, at the high school, and also bringing a new image of pride to the facilities at the high school and in middle school, converting the middle school, and there'll be a new natatorium project at the high school, and there's also elementary school additions and renovations happening. A reminder of the schedule, which kind of gives you an idea that tier stepping of the schedule, different construction projects happening over the next few years. The office update, central office update. Program square footage has been updated. This reflects all the program spaces in the office, as well as an approximate idea of the size of each of those spaces. The exterior of the high school from Holtz Road and Route 2, the area in the circle area, this is the main focus that will be developed in the new design of the high school. Gives you the floor plan gives you an idea of where the central office is going to be located, where the media center is, showing where visitors could come to the front of the building to get to the high school office area. Update on the floor plan for the central office includes all the program spaces that you see here, and then leftover space in the media center. And we're getting very close to finalizing the floor plan with the admin team. And the next step is to meet with the media specialist and the principal and work out the program for the media center. We're also validated the number of options that were presented for the central office, and the plan you just saw is the option that the administrative team has decided to go with. As Gibraltar and Skillman proceed, we're also starting to look at the structural review of the buildings, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems as well. And as we do this, we're in a very conceptual stage of estimating and learning what the budget will be for this building, as well as all the buildings in the project. Campus plan. One of the ideas here is the biggest concern is separating parent traffic from student traffic. Branding around the campus, signage, parking is also important for both school students and events. Pedestrian circulation patterns are going to be very evident as we design a new campus. One of the goals we have here is make sure whatever we're designing is planned for future growth and change. Go ahead. Circulation patterns, real simple. Currently, everybody enters from the commercial driver route 2. Parents, students, buses, they all come through here, and they come in here, and it's kind of a cluster right now. So what this plan circulation pattern shows is a separation of student drivers. There will be a new road around the campus, and there'll be a new entrance for students coming off the Holtz Road here, keeping them away from the traffic, from parents and buses on the site. The circulation patterns continue as they do down the west side and exit out on Route 2.
Hey, Mr. Rosillo, we do have some high school admin in the house today, and I just want to assure you, we did indicate this needs to be vetted out and processed out with you because you live that campus and you have perspectives that we may not, so be assured you're next on the stop.
The site plan is starting to get a little bit more tightened. We've got the athletic fields laid out where they're the right size, and we're starting to look at things to scale now, so the baseball field will fit on the site with the football stadium, softball fields, varsity, JV fields, the soccer field, all that works. Relocation of the tennis courts next to the softball fields is along Holtz Road over here, and then parking next to the new natatorium and the field house here for events. The south side of the campus, there'll be some improvements to the parking there. We're going to elevate the parking. By that I mean we're going to raise the parking lot so it's at grade, so ADA accessibility can happen. Right now, everybody has to kind of take stairs and there's no ADA parking. So there'll be a new parking lot for ADA as well, next to the office area. The pool addition happens over here on the west side of the field house. The only adjustments along to the road, West Drive is rerouting it, so the road will just go past the field house, so there's a little bit of a new road here. And then it will rejoin with the existing road because it exits on Route 2. Go ahead. The middle school campus, again on this one here, the other challenge is to separate car, parent, and bus traffic. And we'll show you how that's going to happen. The parents for grades 7 and 8 will happen in this area where 7 and 8 grade house is, and the 5-8 house will have its own drop-off for parents, students on this side of the building. The blue line represents the new bus pattern, circulation pattern. Right now, buses come in with everybody else and kind of have it over here. We're separating buses out, so there will be a new drive with a loop, and then buses will exit where they enter. This also shows some improvements to the transportation center. There'll be some new and larger, not new, but expanded service bays for the buses, new bus wash, and an office expansion as part of the transportation building. Next. On the exterior, we're starting to study what the enhancements to the exterior might be. Right now, this is an existing before, and this is an after. What you're looking at here are basically some cosmetics that are happening to this here. We're not putting brick or adding some structural elements on here, but basically just taking some of the materials and staining the color and adding some metal trim around the windows. This is a kind of a close-up of what that starts to look like. So the field that we're talking about staining, this is masonry that's stained. There's some metal trim and vertical elements here. They're aluminum, and then some sun screens or sun movers over the top of the windows. And with that, we're continuing with some of the preliminary planning. I know right now we're working with Kevin and his team on a program for the intermediate school. We're going to continue to have meetings with staff and administration. We talked about meeting with the librarian for the high school as well as high school staff when we start to look at what to do with the existing library. High school athletic program, we're continue to have meetings with athletics on that. We're also, right now, we're currently doing some soil borings on the site. We're doing surveys, or that's all happening as we speak, so we can better understand the soil conditions that'll help us design buildings and some of the structures we're putting on the site. And then we continue to have weekly meetings with the admin team every week. We do that with them. And as I was saying, right now we're going through taking the conceptual designs that we're starting to see tonight, and we're working with Skill, and they're going to start to place a budget figure to those. And then we'll probably know, probably in about a month here, about where we are with the budget and understand exactly what some of the construction is happening on these projects. That's where we are. So, thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty. The Lowell High School spotlight presentation.
Yeah. So we have a high school here, and they're here to tell us a little bit about academic achievement, attendance, graduation rates, and then they've got something they want to brag about as well.
I just had a good one. Mom made dinner tonight. It was good.
That's what we were bragging about, bringing back the students.
Oh,
Not yet.
no.
Put it on the priority list.
I knew I should have.
Mr. Cleafish, do you know everybody from the high school, Ms. Missouri, Elizabeth Slough, and Principal Patrick?
I went to school with Nathan.
Yes.
Kindergarten all the way through.
Really?
He hired me.
St.
as
Edward's
an
actually.
administrator.
Oh,
What's
I
that?
said, you hired me
Many years ago.
80 zillion years ago.
All right. Well, thanks for having us today. Kyle would be here, but he is homesick, so otherwise there would be 4 of us up here. So we wanted to start with what our school vision is. 3 years we brought our staff together to talk about what they wanted our ideal graduate to be, what were the qualities and things we were hoping students would come out of Lowell High School with. And so collaboratively, it became empowering students to be their best selves while fostering a strong sense of Red Devil pride. Pride standing for perseverance, reliability, integrity, drive, and empathy, which we're going to kind of go into in a little more detail. But we tried to take everything that we do and circle it around these 5 things. So Lowell High School's enrollment is down just a little bit. We're at 1,026. Our 9th grade class has 254, 256 in the 10th grade, 11th is 253, and our seniors is our largest class that we're graduating at 263. So enrollment is a little bit lower. We started the year around 1060, and we're currently at 1026. As far as our staff is concerned, we have 56 and a half teachers. Our NICEP teachers, we have 6 of them. We're super happy to be fully staffed with NICEP teachers. Our support staff, including our nurse, there are 22. NICEP, that also includes custodial staff. NICEP support staff, we have 8, and then we also have 5 counselors. So we're going to talk about the high school side of the Indiana Graduates Prepared to Succeed dashboard. And so from the high school standpoint, it talks about student attendance, graduation, and then also graduation and beyond. So the way that we wanted to go ahead and look at our data with you guys today was we took area schools as well as the state and compared where we were falling in comparison to those schools. So we are always in red, the state's in green, and then the schools that we've compared ourselves to are in the center. This is for attendance, and it's students with at least a 94% attendance rate. This is from 2022. So at 51%, we're obviously below the state average. I did go back and look, because in 2018-19, we were at around 68%, still below what the state average is. I think we can talk about why we think that's low, but we definitely know that we have an attendance issue. We have a lot of mental health things like that. But that is something when we looked at, we were like, ooh, we definitely need that to be higher. So this talks about our graduation requirements and those that are graduating. The goal by 2030 is 95%. The data on the dashboard is from 2021, and Lowell is at a 93.4% graduation rate. So I went through today and I looked because our graduation rate from last year was a 96.7. One of the things I think is important to note is that this is 7 kids counted that did not consider graduates. However, 6 of those students are in our intense special education class and actually received certificates. And that actually counts against us in graduation rate. So the next one is the students that completed advanced placement or dual credit during high school. We're really proud of this. As you can see, we surpassed the schools in the area. We have 85.4%. The state average is 60. And so with all of the AP classes, dual credit through CTE, our kids are clearly earning far above other schools as well as the state in this area. So this is definitely something to celebrate.
I think a comment on that, our financial benefit for students in this has come into the well over the $100,000 mark. Students are benefiting by getting free college to that value. So a lot of kids are really making big chunks, taking big chunks out of what they would have owed in their experience in college.
And then we have our percentage of grade 12 students earning a designation diploma that's above a general designation. When students come in as freshmen, they have the option of a Core 40, academic honors, or technical honors. We do not advertise a general diploma because we know as educators there is a difference between a general and a Core 40, and students should strive for the Core 40 or above. We actually don't make a decision on a general diploma until the student is in their senior year, and it's a matter of graduating with a general or not graduating at all. We believe that all kids can do it, and so that's what we are continually encouraging them and providing them supports to be able to do so. So we're sitting at 92.6% from 2021 that earned above the general diploma. The state was sitting at 90, so.
So for those of you who don't know what the FAFSA is it's federal aid basically for financial aid for college. And so there is a push to have all students fill out the FAFSA. So when you look at this data, we're at 55.8% clearly, and the state is just below us. That number has, I think, we are pushing, we have strategies, we have like 3 nights during the year where we have a company come in, well, it's actually a group that comes in and helps. Our counselors and our registrar help students get through FAFSA. There are a lot of different ways that we work on this, but it should be noted that this number will always be going up because we have a lot of students now, far more than we ever had in the trades, who are not going on to 4-year universities or even 2-year universities. So many of them are not filling out the FAFSA because they're going straight to the union from the high school. So to achieve a 99% would never be realistic in what we promote in our district. Okay, so I want to point out the slides that have a star up in the corner. These are things that the state puts on the GPS dashboard for us. However, we don't have information as to how they derive the score. We've reached out 2 times to the state and we still have no response as to how they're getting these numbers. So some of these are just informative for you because we really can't comment much on them, but you know, we are pretty comparable, I think, when it comes to our high school graduates that are employed within a year here. We do report things to the state about that if they're in CTE, but we don't know how they get the rest of the kids in there. This is another one of those slides that was on the dashboard. So the percentage of graduates employed in the workforce during the wage reporting year who meet a certain set of criteria. But we've never been told what the certain set of criteria are. And when we ask, we not have no response. Okay, and this is the same thing. We don't know how they've derived this, but median income, I'm guessing it came somewhere through taxes, but we didn't make high school graduates 5 years after expected graduation. But we didn't want to leave these out. We really thought it was important for you to see at least what the state is holding us accountable to.
Yeah, it's old data.
It's old data, yeah. Okay, so really what this is about today is our school improvement plan and all the work that goes into that. So just so you know, a school improvement plan is built for a 3-year trajectory. However, every year we gather data, we review, it's a monthly process, and then we revise the data. We revise the plan according to the data, making our goals match that. So we have 3 areas. The first one is English language arts, then math, and social emotional learning. Like I said again, 3-year goals. So this is our English language arts goal. By the end of 24-25 school year, 65% of our students will meet or exceed the state's at college ready benchmark for the English portion of the SAT. So the SAT is the accountability exam. It is through College Board, and everything is measured by this college ready benchmark. What college ready means, according to the College Board, is that 75% the students will be achieving a C. 75% of them are likely to achieve a C in a college entry math or language arts course. So they talk about things like statistics, college algebra, finite, English language, English literature, poetry, etc. And this is where we fall according to the data. So the state average is 50%. We are slightly above that average. For English, yes, I'm sorry, ELA, this is English. And there is a reading and writing component in the SAT.
So these would be our current seniors, or our class of 2022 when they were juniors, so that's when this data is from, right?
And just a little background on that, last year was the first year that we were required to give the SAT to all of the students as the school accountability exam. So it's definitely a new test. Previously it was ISTEP. So
new test and new sense of importance. I mean, we always found it to be important because of kids getting the availability to college and scholarships, etc. But now it is high stakes. Now math, this is an area where we have historically struggled, and this is an area where we are working really hard to improve as well. Just like English, there's been a lot of alignment and a lot of things that have been done. So by the end of 24, 25, 39% of the students will meet the college ready benchmark. So the next slide, you're gonna see the data. So the same group of students, we are at 22% meeting that college ready benchmark, and the state is at 31%. This seems extremely alarming. It is definitely an area of need. However, I also will say there are a lot of schools in our area that also fell in difficult spots there for mathematics, okay? But our district, as you guys all are probably very well aware of, and maybe the public company here are not, there was a big push for elementary to start a new math curriculum that was very aligned, that spiraled skills, that really, really focused in on problem solving. And we're starting to see the benefits of all of that coming up through the grades. And then this year, go ahead to the next slide, please. This year, we've done some work. So right here is our percent of 11 students proficiency benchmarks for both. So ELA and math, the scores get combined to give an overall score. And so right now, 28.8% of the students in the state have met the benchmark in both math and ELA. Our building currently is at 22.4%, and the math has largely influenced that. So what are we doing? What are we doing to make this better? A lot of the goals seem similar. You'll find out that the strategies are also similar. One of the big things that we're doing is we're doing regular professional learning communities, talking about data. We're aligning the curriculum. We're aligning the pacing. We're working on looking at specific standards with a laser focus. Have students met it? Have they not? How did you get there? What are the strategies that work for you versus the strategies that didn't work necessarily in my classroom with my group? And really, really honing in on it and then deciding what needs to be retaught, and then when do we reassess to really find out if mastery has happened. Also in the English department, similar things are happening. The PLCs, the communities are meeting. They have aligned their writing, they have aligned their text, they all have common formative assessments, which we also have in the math department. All of this strategy work is at the classroom level. So all teachers in math and language arts are part of this. On top of that, the test has some cross-content areas, including some social studies and some science. And So there's been an overall push for all across our curriculum for teachers to put these strategies for SAT preparation into their content in a meaningful way. So it wouldn't make sense for us to do a math problem, for example, in social studies, but there are great reading and writing tasks that can mirror SAT tests to prepare in those classes. So there's been a lot of that work as well. Data analysis, not only is there that data analysis at the classroom level, but there's building-wide data analysis. So we look at a lot of things, how kids are achieving, who are regularly not doing well, and where do we need to put in interventions. We also analyze the data from the College Board, and we sit down and we look at the problems and say, was it easy, was it medium, or was it difficult? How many kids actually got it wrong? Is there this large disparity between right and wrong, or is it pretty evenly balanced, and that means we need to teach it better, because like if there's a 4-quarter split and everybody's got different answers, that tells us that that content's not been covered well. And then in advisory, Khan Academy is one tool that's being used. Khan Academy is actually aligned to the SAT. So it is individualized. Students have, we can assign things, but students also have accounts, so it'll show the exact area of deficit and exact area of strength, and you can get the assignments according to the deficit areas. And, so progress monitoring, we don't currently have a tool, but we are investigating and trying to figure out a good tool to do regular progress monitoring, totally 100% laser-like focus aligned with that SAT. So that is something that we have all committed to and we're working on. One thing though that you have to know, so those 3-year goals, we've set that percentage for us, like that we want to be at, but they move the target every year. So what is considered college ready benchmark changes annually. So that's why part of that SIP process or the school improvement plan process is really looking at data all year long and then adjusting the goal for the following year. Not that the whole goal will change, but our target will change somewhat. And we just had our test day on March 1st, and we do not have our current results yet.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the non-academic goal, so the social and emotional goal. So by the end of the 24-25 school year, 75% of students at LHS will report that they feel consistently supported by peers and staff members. So we're really trying to focus on relationships. We know kids that feel connected want to come to school. And I think our teachers do an amazing job of building relationships with kids and our staff. I think one of the big things when you look at the data and how we derive this data was we did give a social and emotional screener at the beginning of the year. And then we gave a midpoint social and emotional screener to gauge where the students were at. And this was really the area we thought we could focus on. So at the beginning, the question was combined, students and staff, and it was at 59%. So for the mid-year screener that we just pushed out a couple weeks ago, we separated the question. And so we're at about 58% for staff and then 53% for peers. So again, I think it's just helping kids find that connection. You know, the research shows that students have one caring adult. That's really what they need, right? And we know that our student-peer relationships can always be improved, so we're really working on that as well. So some of the things that we're doing to try to increase our social and emotional program. So using SEL screeners throughout the school year. So we develop our own, but it is, a lot of the questions that are put on there are derived from the program Panorama, which we did use last year. It just wasn't super user-friendly. So the Google Forms do seem to work a little bit better, and it's a lot less expensive. So we're using SEL screeners to gauge where our students are at in advisory. We have something called the Change Agent Workbook that aligns with the Coffee Bean message, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So giving students really good purposeful lessons in advisory that reflect on those important SEL goals, you know, things like perseverance, social awareness, things like that. We have a strong PBIS initiative, so with our PRIDE acronym plus the Coffee Bean, we've really aligned that so that we're celebrating students, but also staff that are displaying those characteristics. And we want to continue with professional development for both staff and students to work on our SEL and our initiatives. The goal would be for SEL to be holistic within the classroom, within the instruction, and not like a standalone lesson that we're doing in advisory. So we're getting there, but obviously we're still working towards that.
So I just want to preface before we go into this, when we sat down and talked about all of the great things happening at LHS, we couldn't really pick just one. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw on Facebook, but we just held our first transportation open house yesterday. We brought Lake Central and Crown Point. It's the first transportation trades day in the area. There is nothing else like it. We had over 30 industry partners come in. It was awesome for the kids, for our teacher, Mr. Favors, who put a ton of time into it, and it's something we're hoping to continue to do each year. I certainly won't steal the thunder for manufacturing, but they have success. Our FFA students are getting ready to go to a livestock judging. They do that regularly. Welding with Skills USA. Our academic teams just won the invite that we hosted. We've had kids go to state for athletics. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And so for us to just pick one, it was very difficult. So instead, what we wanted to do is kind of highlight our culture initiatives that we have each quarter, which align with our Pride vision. So that's what we're going to do, but please know there are just so many great things that really are happening at Lowell that we couldn't just pick one. So.
Okay. So I mentioned the coffee bean initiative for this year. So I want to give special credit to Mike McClendon. He's not here, but he is a teacher leader who brought the idea of the coffee bean to LHS and how great the message is. So if you aren't aware of the message, essentially it's about changing your environment. So if you put, I guess I could ask a pop quiz. Kids, do you know? If you put an egg in a pot of boiling water, what happens? It becomes hard. If you put a carrot in a pot of boiling water, what happens? It becomes soft. What happens when you put a coffee bean in a pot of boiling water? It makes coffee, right? It changes the environment.
Oh, Miss Seeley, you win.
Yeah. So that's kind of our message to kids. Like, you can let life circumstances make you hard, like the egg, soft like the carrot, or you can change the environment like the coffee bean. But understand that you're going to be all three things at different times, and that's perfectly okay, right? So Damon West, he came thanks to also the Tri Creek Education Foundation that helped with this, the Lowell Public Library, and Mike McClendon, getting him here to LHS. He spoke to the kids. It was a great message. We adopted his workbook to really emphasize the change agent throughout the school year in advisory. And we also celebrate it as much as we can. We try to always tie back to being a coffee bean. So this is something we want to continue because we think the message has been really great for kids and relatable for everybody.
We should note that the workbook itself, the tasks are all about introspection and just really reflection and thinking about how you would respond to situations. So it's been a really good personal but thinking task that can be discussed among people because everybody's going to have a different perspective.
I do just have to share, I ran out to the parking lot it was probably a month and a half after we had Damon come and there had been a car accident. It was raining, so I'm like, oh girls, my hair's gonna get messed up, and I'm trying to make them laugh because they had just gotten in a car accident, everyone was okay, and the one student looked at me and she goes, it's all right, I made a coffee bean. I am okay. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, she was legitimately serious. So I do think that the message has resonated with students, and so that's really been our goal.
So that was kind of our quarter one culture initiative. And then quarter two was all about giving back. So we worked with the Angel Tree Project in St. Edwards to purchase gifts for our people within our community. So our students raised the money with the help of the teachers and the team leaders. They raised over $6,100, which was amazing. And I believe it was over 52 families, plus the senior citizens we were able to provide gifts for. And that really ties back to reliability and drive within our vision. But this is amazing. Was an amazing school-wide effort. If you know, last year we did the fundraiser for the Nick Foundation. So this year we did something that hit a little bit more close to home within our community. So that was great. Quarter 3 culture initiative was about kindness. So we had random acts of kindness week where we encouraged students to write kindness grams. We did have a kindness challenge. And one of the things we did was assign a support staff member to each advisory and encourage the students to do something kind for that staff member. So it could be buying their favorite candy. It could be just writing cards to them. It could be, some kids got them a gift card. One teacher actually woodworked a charcuterie board, which was like way above and beyond, but that was cool. So it was just to get the kids thinking, like, do something for someone other than yourself that's random, just to be kind. And I think the kids did a really nice job with that, as well as the teachers who facilitated that. And that was really about integrity and doing the right thing. So quarter 4, which is what we're getting into, we're gonna focus on empathy. So we have our mural here that our wonderful art teacher, Ronnie LePage, painted, which is a legacy to Christina Thomas, if you know Christina Thomas, who passed away. So her vision was to have the empathy wings, and students could write messages on the wings and post them on the wall. So we did this last year. So messages about empathy, whether it was to like a specific person or just a quote about empathy. So we push out a lesson in advisory that tells the students who Christina is and what she did for LHS. Unfortunately, a lot of the students don't know her. Some of the seniors do, but we want to keep her legacy alive. So we will be pushing that out and having the students complete the wings of empathy. We will also be pushing out some other lessons that are very, very deliberate in helping the students consider varying perspectives, practice empathetic listening, as well as just reflection on why you should be empathetic. Because we know that we all need that and our kids need that too. Okay, and the last thing is just celebrating pride, being coffee beans, and our vision. So we do this every month. We push out a Google form that asks teachers to nominate both staff members and students that illustrate whatever our characteristic is of the month. So each student will get a certificate, and it will have, if they win, and it will have what the teacher said about them specifically. So Ms. Cross said this about you. And I'm using her as an example because she nominates all the time. We appreciate that. And so they know what the teacher said about them, and they have that special blurb. And the teachers also get a certificate whether they win or they're nominated, just so that they have that. And so what we do then, this is the first time we did this, is we actually had a breakfast for our students and staff members of the month, where students could bring in 2 special guests, plus their teacher that nominated them. And it was really nice. We had a slideshow with who they were, what they did, why they were nominated. And that was a nice connection to the community and bringing the parents in. I was nervous that no one would come, but we had a great turnout. We did, so it was awesome. So we'll have another one next Friday. So, thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
I have to tell you guys, with the coffee bean, my husband and I, our son, went to the public presentation.
Oh, okay.
And my husband helps coach the Pop Warner's kids.
Oh.
And so he immediately took that to practice and was like, are you gonna be a soft parent? Who is the soft parent? So the younger kids are already getting that message sent
That's
up
great.
with them.
That's great, because it's not a message we want to hear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have next.
All right. Gene Haas grant project manufacturing competition update.
Yeah. So once again, thank you for having us. What is the MSLGI TV?
So this is Daryl Hebel,
Oh, yes.
and he heads up our manufacturing precision machining
Say it 3 times fast.
program, and it's like he's brought some fabulous help with him. Pardon me?
His favorite students.
Oh, teachers' pets.
Oh, I don't know that far.
How do you have them this year?
So I brought 3/4 of my team with me today. The other one had to work today, so he could not make it. But we got Brendan, Nathan, and Kayana here with me. We recently went to project manufacturing competition. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm just going to start at the beginning of where, just some 2023 updates of where we've been through. Skills USA, project manufacturing, IMTMA, Gene Haas grant, and then a couple things we're working on now, currently in the shop. So February was a real busy month for us. We had 3 different competitions that we competed in, starting the first week of February, February 4th. Brendan's the only one in the machining group that went into the competition. We went to the Skills USA Regionals, which was over in South Bend, Ivy Tech campus. He competed in 9 other competitors, 3 different schools from around the Northwest, North Central Indiana region. And he ended up, they had 3 tasks they had to do. They had a line of ice, precise size and position. They had to mill apart and turn apart. They were given a certain amount of time period to do it, and then they took those parts, judged them, how far students got, and got awarded different points. And Brendan was able to, so these show the activities. On the left, he's aligning the vise. In the middle, he's milling the part, and on the right, he's actually turning the part. And he was able to take first place at that competition. He took the top honors, got the highest score points. So he'll move on to the state round competition, which will be next month in April, mid-April or so, in Indianapolis. So he'll go down and compete there. So that was very exciting. It was a very trip because it was just him and I in the short bus together. So we spent 2 hours at 5 o'clock in the morning heading to South Bend, and then 2 hours coming home in the evening. So that was interesting, but it was fun. It was an exciting day. We had a lot of conversation on the way there and back. So it was good. So that started our month. So we started with a bang, and it was great having him do it. He did a great job. I was really proud of him for there. From there, the team of us, and let me read this. This is about project manufacturing. This is off their website. So project manufacturing is a competition aimed to challenge the perception of the skilled trades and showcase skills, careers in the industry. The American manufacturing industry is facing a skills gap, potentially leaving more than 2 million positions unfilled if more young people don't enter the skilled trades. Project manufacturing is a global learning acceleration incorporated, CEO 15C3 nonprofit, partially funded by the Department of Defense and manages by RD Solutions. So what they do is they put on a competition that consists of 3 different rounds of competition. The first round was, they call it Project in a Box, because literally they send you a box, and it's got materials in it, it's got parts in it, prints in it, it's got tooling in it, and say, make this, and send it back to us. You've got 16 working hours to do that. I think I have. So that's some pictures on the left there of the parts that came in the box. It came in one little box. It was amazing it all fit. It was nice packed in there, nice and tight. And then they had to, as a team, they had to do different things. So you guys want to pass around the parts or show those? So these are the finished parts. I got Vanna White here.
I'm just gonna send them if yours.
Yeah, you can pass around. So they had to take, if you see on the left, it was literally aluminum block. They had to cut it into different pieces, totally machine the part, they were given models for the parts. They had to go through, set the tool paths, figure out how to hold the parts in the machines, how to do the different operations. There was a welding application to it, so they had to do 2 different types of welds. They were given specific information of how they need to do it, which types of welds to use, what type of rods to use to accomplish making those parts that we made there. So that was Project in a Box. So we completed Project in a Box. We came in early a couple mornings before school at 5 in the morning, worked on it for 2 hours till school started. We came in a Saturday, spent an 8-hour day on a Saturday in the shop working. That was our major work day. And then we spent a couple days after that Saturday, a couple mornings at 5 to come in, finish everything up, box it all up so that I could send it to UPS after school one day to ship it back to them for judging. That was first week of December, I believe, is when we did that part of the competition. When that was complete, we waited to hear back, and we didn't hear back from them until after the first of the year. And they said, we got to move on. We're going to move on to the next competition. So that we passed the first round of competition. And just some stats on how many boxes. 34 of these projects in the boxes were sent out. And this is a nationwide competition between high schools and colleges. So 34 were sent out. What's that?
Mostly colleges.
Mostly colleges.
3 high schools.
Well, we'll get to that. 23 of the projects in the box came back to them. So 11 schools got it and says, we're out. We're not even going to try it. Whether it was, right? So they took the materials, took the tooling that they were given, and they kept it, and that was the end of it. 23 got submitted in. So of those 23, 19 were colleges and 4 were high schools. We were one of those 4 high schools. Of those, so this is my team, of those 19 or 23 that were submitted, only 16 moved on to the second round. Of the 16 that moved on to the second round, which is the regional round, which we just went to, 13 colleges were moving on there and 3 high schools. So we beat out, so 19 minus 13 is 6. So we beat out 6 colleges right there of our high school students. The name of the 13 schools are here. I'm not going to read through all those. Most of it is like technical schools, so it's 2-year, 3-year. Vincennes was there. They were actually there the same day we were competing. They were competing right next to us on the machine next to us. 3 high schools did make it on: Streamwood, which is in Illinois up in the west suburb of Chicago, Lowell, and then Pickett's County Career Center in Technology, which is down in somewhere way down south, which is a career center. So it's feeding from 4 or 5 local high schools. Even Streamwood, I believe, is 2 very large, like Crown Point sized schools that feed into that machining program. So to my knowledge, we're the only high school, like self-sufficient high school to make it to the competition. So when we got there, we got to go, a week before the competition, they sent us some of the drawings and said, here's some of what you might see. Things might change, there might be surprise parts. We had a meeting, a Google Meet, where a couple of us met with them, along with the other schools that were going. They went through the information. They said, a week before the competition, we'll send you these drawings. You can start playing with it, see what you can start figuring out to do at your own shop, and then figure out what you can do. So we got that. We met a couple mornings. We came in the Saturday of President's Day weekend for about 5 or 6 hours. A couple of us did. We came in the Monday of President's Day for a couple hours to go through some of the modeling to try to figure out what we had so that when they got to the competition, we'd know. So we left Tuesday after school, drove in the white bus, 4 of us, plus Kayana's mom came as our female chaperone. Went to St. Louis, got in a hotel at 10 o'clock at night, got in our rooms, got ourselves to bed. Had to be up the next morning at 6:30, ready to get on the shuttle to go over to the school for the competition. When we got to the competition, it's a 2-day competition. You have 8 hours of programming and 8 hours of machining or shop time, along with 2 days of welding that we got to do. And when we first got the information, I'm looking at this in the playbook they call it, it's 36 pages of information about the project that you have to read through, and rules and guidelines and everything else that you have to do. It talked about 5-axis machining. We don't have a 5-axis machine. So one of the things, the first thing I heard when we went on is I emailed our Haas rep and said, hey, where's the nearest 5-axis so we can go look at it? He's like, there's not one. I'm like, what? He's like, no one up in Northwest Indiana has any of those. He's like, the closest thing you have is the Valpo Ivy Tech. They got a 3+2, which is a little small simulated. They might, and I knew they had that, so we contacted him. We did go over one day after school. We all met over there at the Ivy Tech, and Don Baker over there showed us some of kind of an idea of what a 5-axis machine was, because it's a different animal than what we had in our shop, which we have a lot of great things, but it's just a little different animal for what it does. So that was one downside that we were disadvantaged at when we went down there, not being around that. So like I said, a little bit of sight of it, but we went. First day was programming, tool paths design, welding got started there, fabbing up his parts. The second day is all about making the chips. So we spent 8 hours on there. They got to use a UMC 500 SS 5-axis machine to start getting the parts together. On machining day, started out, makes chips about an hour, which was pretty good. The day before, as they were all programming and doing their job, I'm not part of the team. I'm kind of segregated from them, so I was out in the shop because that's where I like to be, and I'm just watching the other teams that were machining that day, and they didn't get started until about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, making their first chips and stuff. So that was fun to see that we did a little better the next day when we started. But just watching the team like use this new machine and this new equipment that they've never seen before, it was amazing. It was great to see. They were able to finish all 3 parts, so we were given 2 pieces. They had a mystery part that when we showed up, they said, hey, you also got to make this. So that was something that we hadn't looked at, and I didn't even see it the whole day until we got back to the hotel and we were talking about it. But that was something they had to do all on their own and figure out the tool paths and all the design and everything for that they had to do. But we did finish all 3 parts by the end of day 2, so that was great. So there's a few pictures. A picture of the machine they were using in the background there. The bottom left picture is the welded piece. The middle one is the mystery parts, the bottom side of it. And the part here on the end was the most difficult. Was actually a ball. But the part they had to make those are the 3 pieces. So if you don't know what that is, that's a hip joint replacement. So it truly is. This is the ball, this is the femur stem, this shoves in your leg, and this was the mystery part that you had to make to hold it, was to stand to make that. As of when we left the competition, we were in the 2nd week. It's a 3-week competition. We were the 10th team to go. Only 2 other schools had completed all 3 parts as of that. So, and most of those were colleges as well. The high school didn't, Vincent's didn't complete all 3 of their parts, whereas we did. So we're waiting to hear your feedback. If we move on to the next round, the top 4 teams go into nationals, which is held in South Carolina somewhere mid-May, where they go and compete head-to-head with 3 other schools at the same time, all at the same time. And that they actually put a Clash of Trades mini-series together, I'll call it, or I don't know. It's like 6 or 8 series that they do, that they record the whole thing, and they put a whole little thing together. It's kind of cool. So yeah, that's what they did there. So that was really cool. It was really neat to get it done. We had some trying times in the middle of the day, I'll say. Got a little stressful. Things, it's life. Things don't go according to plan, and you've got to figure it out as you go. I did get a lot of comments from the people running the show that when the college is another place that had problems, the first thing all the students did was look at their instructor like, what do I do next? And our students didn't do that. They figured it out on their own and moved forward by themselves without having, and they could even tell some of the programming is different with the stuff they had at home they could do versus the stuff they had to do by themselves. It was totally different, so they knew the structure really helped with the first one, whereas our programming, they could tell the programming was all done by the students and not by me, so that was good, because I'm not any good at it anyways. So just a little bit else about project manufacturing. So the regionals, they paid for 3 hotel rooms for 3 nights in downtown St. Louis for the school, for us. They gave us a reimbursement check to cover travel. Also for food for the 2 nights that we were there. They paid for us to go out to eat. When we walked in, the first thing we sat down in the room as our little meeting thing. First thing it says, we're going to give you all $250. So each student will receive a check for $250 for them to use as their own, as the thank you for being in the program and getting there. They also said they're going to give the program $1,000 for use for the programs for tooling and machine parts for whatever they need to. If they move on to regionals, the 4 teams that move on to regionals, they'll travel to South Carolina in mid-May. They're trying for a chance to win $100,000. The way they structure it is half of that goes to the school's program, the other half goes to the contestants. Wow. And they split that up for the winner of that. So there's a pretty nice chunk of change on there if they get that far. So
No pressure.
no pressure, none at all. So, but that was like I said, that was an exciting trip. It's a long drive for the white bus. That's a real long drive. It does not go very fast. I don't think everyone gets ever back. What's that?
Boring drive.
Oh, jeez. Tell me about it. At least they got to play video games on it. I had to drive. So what was really trying is we got back at about 3:30 on Friday afternoon, got the bus cleaned out, everything got done. We had to be back Saturday morning at 4:30 in the morning for the IMTMA competition in Indianapolis, which these 4 went, along with 5 other students went to. So we got home, got up, and then we're back at school. Most of them were back at school at 4:30. I wasn't, I was late. But, so we got, and what IMTMA is competition, if you don't remember last year, one of the students went and he won the CNC portion of it last year. So we went, a couple students competed in that, and then a couple competed in the manual side of it where they do similar to the skills they do, but they actually do 9 different stations of different things. They have 25 minutes at each station. Once again, do as much as you can, and then they tally up the points. So there were 24 competitors in the manual machining showcase, which included manual milling, tramming ahead, indicating a part, turning it on a lathe, sharpening drills, measuring parts, surface grinding, and a knowledge test. CNC consisted of 16 competitors. They were given a part print, and they had to make the G&M code to write the complete program to make that part, and plus a knowledge test. So out of that day, once again, Brendan tied for first, unfortunately. Technically, he got second due to tiebreakers, but it was worth 238 points, and they each got like 196 points was their points total. But on tiebreakers, he came in second. So unfortunately, he didn't get to come home with a big trophy, which he was very sad about on the way home. But he still got a nice big toolbox full of tools to bring home. And if he chooses to go to Vincennes, he has a $1,700 scholarship that he can use to go to there if he chooses to. So congratulations to you, Brendan. I know you're He said in the back there, he's like, it's all about me. Can we change it real quick? Sorry, man. You're good at what you do. So that was a little bit about our competitions, which I'm really proud. I think we did a great job. I'm really happy about the kids. It's good to get them out to see it. So if only 5 kids could compete in this IMTMA competition because they were actually full. But I took 4 kids that just went to observe. Most of them were freshmen, so maybe next year they'll know what it's about. They'll know what they need to practice or try out, and then give them some. They got a nice breakfast, a nice lunch. And then it was a neat day to see some. It was at Ivy Tech's campus in Indianapolis, so it's kind of neat to see different shops and how they're set up. So, and we found they do have a 5-axis. So if we go to the next competition, we might go down and visit them one day. So, okay, now a little bit about the Gene Haas grant. Once again, a little definition of what it is. So the Gene Haas Foundation sees a growing need for skills manufacturing employees industry-wide. The foundation expands its mission to include support for manufacturing training programs throughout Northern America and beyond by providing scholarships for CNC manufacturing programs and help fund participants in select competitions that highlight a school's manufacturing and engineering programs. The programs here at Lowell High School have been benefited from this. Include Skills USA, EV Grand Prix, and students that are in the precision machining classes for testing and other certifications that we've done in the past. Scholarship funds can be used for tuition, books, materials, personal tools for students that are required by the program to help the student in industry credentials. Funds can be also used to provide students with scholarships to post-secondary education to pursue studies in CNC, manufacturing, or machining or related fields. The Gene Haas has donated millions of dollars every year to manufacturing education of communities. In 2020, the Gene Haas Foundation provided $20 million in grants to schools and other organizations around the country. LHS has received this fund for the last 4 years. So we've got at least 10,000 every year. I think last year was actually 14,000. I don't remember the exact numbers. This will be the first year that hopefully we can offer student scholarships. First year we've got some 4th-year students, some 3rd-year students that will be graduating that I'd like to see if I could help them with these funds, whether it's through tooling because they're going to the apprenticeship programs, or if they're going to go for engineering or something related to the machining field that we can help them with that. So that's the goal and the plan for most of these funds that we've got. Plus, we have Skills USA coming up that we'll probably get, some of it will pay for rooms and food and stuff while we're there, but other activities like that. Almost there. All right, Red Dot Manufacturing is not all about competitions. Students in the classroom also are working with some pretty impressive projects. 3rd-year students are reworking on their designing, programming, and setting up Haas CNCs. We're making a couple different project vice handles that we use in our machine shops, which I meant to grab one and I forgot. But we make these vice handles so that we can get rid of these big clunky ones that come with the machines. So we started designing it. We've got a machine. We had to set up the machine for 2 vices. So every 15 minutes we get a finished part out of the machine. Students also are involved in designing and programming, setting up on our Haas ST10Y to cut chess pieces. If you attended the open house, who all attended the open house here? So hopefully you picked up a chess piece as you were at your pawn, as you were there. Well, we've continued working on this, and we've accomplished 4 of the 6 pieces for our chess set. We're up to our queen. We've got 2 students now that are trying to work on that. One's working on the knight, one's working on the king. So hopefully by the end of the year we'll figure out how to get those designed and programmed to machine. But if you would like, if you'd like to take a chess piece, if you want, I've got a small box here of little pieces if you'd like one.
I didn't mean to. They're all different. So
they're all different. There's the 4 pieces. If you didn't get one, like I said, there's a couple pawns in there. If you didn't get a pawn, if you'd like one, if you'd like the rook, the knight, or the queen, you may have it. And the part on the left there is the handle that we're working on, and we're making. It is made out of aluminum. Yes, sir.
The new chess club.
I got a
in your
piece.
life.
Oh,
What's that?
The new chess
I was gonna
club.
say, we just, last meeting.
And what I like to try to do with these, and I have a box of them, is if you come visit me, you want another piece, you have to come see me. So if you want to come on out and stop by the shop sometime, you can give them out to people over there.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to stop by sometime and see the shop, I'll give you the next piece or what we're currently working on in the shop.
So eventually we'll play all the cards.
That's my goal. My goal is to have a whole set, but not necessarily enough for to play chess yet. But I got to figure out how to anodize or change the color to make the other side because brass is too expensive. So, any questions? Anything I can?
So I
Yes,
have a
sir.
question for the team. So going back to St. Louis,
Okay.
you're doing the ball, hip, joint, ball, and the base.
Mhm.
Do you have a limited amount of material, so any mistake you've wasted your material, or are you allowed to request new material if there's a mistake on what you originally provided?
So, well, we can get more material, but there's like this cost thing. So if we mess up, then we have to go buy new material, and then it deducts us points. And that's the same with like tools. If we break a tool, we can go buy a new tool and then replace it. And just basically anything we mess up, we can go buy new stuff, but it just docks us points.
So the way the competition is kind of structured is it's a cost-based program. So because we have 4 members of the team, they had to literally punch in and out as they were doing things, and that goes against their cost. And because we had 4 members, it's like 38. Each one was $38 an hour. They were on the clock. If you had 3 members, it was down. It was weird. They have a whole. That was in that 36 pages of reading, and I don't like to read, but that was in there. But it has different cost things on there, and so you buy tools, it costs you. If you break tools, it costs you. If you have to buy new material, it costs you. How much time the spindle's turning, they calculate that in there. Each of that's like $120 an hour for every hour that spindle's turning. It's the cost of how they charge you for the parts, or what you're gonna make the parts, and everything like that. So they have a whole big structure, and that's why I think we had, because really said we'd hear something by this week, whether we were moving on or not. And we haven't. I'm wondering because now they have 16 teams. They're trying to funnel all this data and numbers, and they had to turn in portfolios. They had to turn in resumes and all this other stuff. They had to turn in that they have to go through and judge and grade and see who comes out on top. So, or at least in the top 4. Any other questions?
Just a quick one. Do you have industry banging down on your door looking for the seniors?
We do. We actually have Vincenzo's going to stop in tomorrow to talk to some of the students, my seniors. My advisory board's full of about 10 or 12 industrial people that are all like, hey, we can use somebody. Unfortunately, I'm at I get the welding slackers, like a lot of the welding kids. Like I have a lot of kids, like 2 of these guys, actually 3 of my 4 that are in my group are in welding also. So they're multi-trade, and some are in construction, some are in auto. So a lot of kids choose to go different paths. Like last year I had 5 seniors and they all chose to do something else. But they said, machine is my second. It's my number 2. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be this. I'm going to be a pilot or I'm going to be a machinist, one or the other. So Brendan is my first student that's actually working in the industry. He works in Caliber Mold down on Route 2. So he works there as work-based learning. So he leaves school part days and goes down to work down there. But yeah, I have lots of people that want people. The other issue I have is a lot of industry is up in the 80-94 corridor. They try to get a high school kid to come from down here to down there that doesn't have a car that's maybe as reliable to get up there. I said, I have people up there, I could place for 30 or 40 kids if I could get them there. That's the only problem that I have when it's up there, so, but, yeah.
I'm really impressed with you, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's a testament to great teaching.
We're lucky, get lucky. Anything else?
Can we shake your hands? Can you
Sure.
make the rounds?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Congratulations, good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Hey, that's awesome.
So proud of you guys. Thank you.
Good work.
Yes, you betcha.
Always a pleasure seeing you here.
Thank you.
I get something every time.
Thank you.
I go, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
The first time they came in, they had a sitting there or whatever, and I seen them. So I got that. You can go over there. So they have,
You know what, as we are asking our community for operating referendum and to make an investment in our community, we're making an investment in what you just saw. And that dedicated educator over there that's coming in on Saturdays and staying late after his workday and those kids that came in, that's exactly what we're investing in. And our community needs to know that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for
Excellent.
making us proud.
How do we do it?
Alrighty, superintendent's report?
Yeah, so we held a school town hall meeting a couple nights ago. Well attended, relatively speaking, approximately 40 to 50 people there. We spent over 2 hours communicating facts and educating the community about the importance of the operations referendum. And so we were happy for the people that turned out. We do plan to host another one in April, date to be determined. I do want to remind the board that we have school board training coming up next week, I believe on the 14th. It is a webinar. Sometimes training can be more meaningful if you are with somebody. So I would like to offer, if anybody is doing the training during the day, you're welcome to come into my office and we can put it on the big screen. It might be more meaningful and we can have some dialogue instead of being distracted at our own personal computers.
What time
It is.
is that? 5:30?
I think there are two sessions. You can either do the evening session, which I believe is a different date.
The evening's the 14th, right?
Let me pull that up.
And March 15th is at 11. It's on the calendar.
All right, so you've got it on your calendars. So I will be doing mine. So the Tuesday night is 5:30 to 6:30. You are welcome to, if you all are not doing the daytime one. Let me double check here. Anybody doing the noon on the 15th? Actually, it's 11 a.m. our time.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
I am not.
If you want to come into the office, let me know.
I'll be in there.
Okay. And then how about Bobby and Kyle,
I gotta do the Tuesday at night.
the Tuesday at night?
What's that? Huh?
Do the Tuesday night.
Okay.
Checking my calendar. So I will be at the Special Olympics on the Tuesday night, but if you want to use my office, you're welcome. If you want to do it on your own.
Bobby can just come over and we'll make popcorn.
Okay. And then I'll reach out to Deborah and make sure that she is invited, at least to my party. Carpenter Trades, as you recall, at the end of the last meeting, asked if you were okay for us to at least post the position to see if there's any interest out there. It's still something that we're working on numbers, and at the March 23rd meeting, hopefully bring that to the board. But in the meantime, there have been 0 applicants. And so if you know of anybody who would be interested in teaching carpentry trades during the school day, We're looking for a workplace specialist, 4 years. Mr. Cleefish, some experience. At least apply. We can filter out qualifications, but if you know anyone who's interested, just get the name on in the application hopper. If we don't find, ultimately our vision is to be able for our kids to build a house in the community that would then go for sale. But if we don't get a position in place, we can't realize that vision. So put the word out there. And then I'm looking at Mr. Deal, Intermediate Center, you guys went on some field trips, and so what'd you find out?
Very briefly, just to kind of keep you guys in the loop throughout the entire process, I was proud to introduce our planning committee last time after the board had approved this shift to go forward with the intermediate school. So that entire committee was able to go with me on 2 site visits today. We began the morning bright and early as the sun rose and headed towards Plymouth to the Riverside Intermediate School. Riverside is a all-inclusive campus, so it was just 5-6. Had a great time, sat through 3 focus groups with teachers from various subject areas, and then did a tour of the facility, got to see classrooms, talk to kids, everything. Then started heading back our direction, went to Kessling Intermediate School in LaPorte. Kessling began as a traditional 6 through 8 middle school. About 4 or 5 years ago, they made the transition to an intermediate school where Boston Middle School and Kessling Intermediate School combined. So they're more like the model we're looking at, where there's a 5-6 component and a 7-8 component, but they live under the same roof. So in that, we got to talk with the assistant superintendent of the Port Community School Corporation, the principal of 5-6, principal of 7-8. We got to do a tour and see teachers and talk to students as well. What I can say is, like, from that committee, which is made up of 5th grade teachers, 6th grade teachers in the content area, specialist teachers for band, music, PE, plus elementary principalship, middle school principalship, we learned a lot. We were sponges, we brought lots of great information back, and the charges continue to be that between now and June, we really established, like, what are the rocks? What are those big components that we have to decide upon, so that all of the exciting stuff, the nuances, all of the details that will give character and define the intermediate school can be done throughout the course of next year. So we definitely got a lot of information to give shape and make sense of those rocks. As a next step, we are going to invite guests from Duneland here. They're going to visit our middle school and speak about their journey, where they are, what they've learned to our planning committee. And then in April, we'll take our trip down south and hit a couple schools in the Indianapolis area. So continue to keep you guys updated in board meetings with our process, but I can tell you there were a lot of great questions asked. There were a lot of great responses. Sometimes you feel bad saying, like, what did you guys mess up and what can we learn from so that we don't do that? But that's really what we did at the table, and they were able to speak candidly and openly and honestly with us. So we very much appreciate all of the administrative teams and teachers for welcoming us in throughout the day today.
What kind of thank you gear do we need to send to these schools? That's huge to be able to.
It is,
go
I mean,
half
they
the time.
took up half day of their time to meet with us, so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's all I have for the superintendent's report.
Alrighty, thank you. Staff recognition?
Staff recognition, so while we don't have any staff ambush to share, I do want to briefly comment on my immediate staff. So Kevin, just reporting out about intermediate school. We had a 9 a.m. meeting this morning, and like, where's Kevin? We can go ahead and start. His feelings won't be hurt. But the reason I am pointing this out is I am so appreciative when people on my team they just take their task and they run with it. Oh yeah, he's taking up intermediate school, and I really appreciate that. And then earlier this week, Jay walks into my office and he says, hey, plug this into your iPad and put this lavalier mic on the speaker when you're doing the staff ambushes so that maybe we can hear better at our board meetings. Continual improvement, right? Our guiding principle. Appreciated that. And then there's Miss Dana over there, and one of the staff members in buildings and grounds had come to her, with a request, and she was walking through that. And based on the response that she gave this person, I'm like, yes, there's such a great team spirit here. And then I look at Miss Deanne over there, and she was Google shy when I arrived here, and then I think it was either today or it was today, she actually taught somebody else something new about Google.
That was me.
So you know what? Those are the little things that our staff do, and I just wanted to take a moment to express my appreciation to my immediate team here at district office.
Excellent.
I know they're good.
Can I add just a little quick, to, since we had the high school team here and we were talking about the trades, my mom works for Mike Anderson Chevrolet.
Okay.
And I noticed on the high school's post of the transportation event yesterday, one of the head mechanics from Mike Anderson was running the booth there. So I texted her and I sent a picture and said, oh, here's Lee. And he is one of the leading mechanics in the area for Chevy and specifically Corvette. So any Corvette or any of that stuff. So he's just a very smart top dog in this whole area. So I sent the text and she was back and forth with him, and he made sure to say, Don Favors, the new instructor there, is really promoting the automated program, doing a fantastic job making it a premier program. So it's being noticed by industry leaders within our, Northwest Indiana as well. And we're so fortunate to have people like that and people like you running our trades program. So thank you, we appreciate that.
Awesome.
Great schools, great community. We all say, Tri-Creek proud. Yes.
RGP?
Thank you for coming tonight. Don't feel obligated to stay for the entire meeting.
Sure, thanks, more.
Pardon me?
Alrighty, you good?
I'm good.
Alright. Board members report?
We don't have any other information under superintendents?
No, did I miss something?
Never mind. I'm prepared. I'm on two committees along with Mrs. Kimbrell. The first one is the Lowell Redevelopment Commission meeting, which was held on Monday, the 27th. It was a 15-minute meeting. There wasn't really a lot on the agenda. Nothing related to the schools, some facade improvements on Main Street. So that's the gist of it. I don't want to waste a lot of time. And then the second one is the NICEC Board of Managers meeting, which I sit on. And there was the regular agenda items, but one personnel item that's specific to our school district was an appointment of their staff, and we're going to have Candace Parker as our paraprofessional at Three Creeks Elementary School, as you
Great.
probably know. So.
Did I miss something? Was I supposed to talk?
No, you went to your superintendent's. This is the.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I forgot to report on something.
No.
Okay.
Oh, because you're at the agenda, you're looking at the agenda.
I was looking at this.
Yeah, there was a lot of.
We're good.
You good?
Yep.
Anybody else? Alrighty. Alright, regular business consent items. Number one, approve the minutes of the meeting held Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll say.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Number two, approve payroll and claims.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Personnel, approved personnel report dated Thursday, March 9th, 2023.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Board policy. First reading of revisions to the board policy 0123, philosophy of the board.
Yeah, so Mrs. Harden and I have been meeting recently, going through board policy. And so this one here is the philosophy of the board. You do have hard copies in front of you. I would encourage you to take a moment and read through there. I will tell you there are no there are some major changes, but they're basically reflected already in our strategic plan that we just simply updated this policy. So as you see in the first few paragraphs, the corporation is a legal entity providing a system of public ed within the geographic area, southern third of Lake County. School board's dual responsibility, implementing the legal obligations and meeting the desires of citizens. And so you can see in item A some changing in the wording to bring some clarity. Item B, establish policies and make decisions on the basis of the corporation's vision, mission, guiding principles, and statutory requirements. So you see the struck out language. We felt like the new language falls in alignment with our vision, mission, and guiding principles. And then that left then the vision, mission, and guiding principles to update as per the strategic plan. So as we move forward with board policy, the process is a minimum of 2 readings before the board would take any action. So tonight is for the first reading. And so does anything stand out to you as being of concern?
I just had a question. Would it be appropriate on the item A, where it says citizens should be urged to bring their comments and concerns about the corporation to its school, to the board's attention?
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate to add in there the methods to do that? So
Yeah.
via attending a meeting to speak, or via email, maybe even adding a email tab on the board that would go to all of us instead of an individual, just in an effort to continue keeping that communication with the community open and encouraged.
So bring to the board's attention through avenues such as attending a meeting, email. What was the other one?
Those were just my 2, but
Okay.
whatever avenues we think would be appropriate to add
Okay.
and way to reach out and communicate. Because I know there's a lot of times people are, well, how do I tell somebody I have a problem or concern or whatever?
Good points.
We could still read through this and make recommendations before the next board meeting.
If it's the board's pleasure, we can add some polished language to that based on Mrs. Kimbrell's feedback, and then go into a second reading at the next meeting. All right.
Good on that one?
Yep, the second policy next on the agenda is about public participation, and the changes that you are seeing is just clarity with the practice that we already had, and also updating to Indiana code. So the public has a right to speak currently on agenda items. The board goes above and beyond that with the second at the end of the meeting, and so we just wanted to reflect the updated practice in the board policy.
Okay. Good on that one?
It's clarification and refinement.
I remember. So with the 2 opportunities to speak, the first opportunity is anything on the agenda, the second is anything off the agenda. What if things on the agenda come up and somebody wants to speak to that after the fact? Is that?
They can still speak to it at the end as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not, like, you don't get to the end and go, no, you can't speak, that was an agenda item. So
Okay.
yeah, at the end, they can basically speak on anything.
So the purpose at the beginning is so that the board can have opportunity to hear any comments from the public before the board would take any action.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody else good? All right. Business operations, number 1, approve the overnight study trip for the Lowell High School marching summer band camp from Sunday, July 16th, 2023 through Saturday, July 22nd, 2023 to be held at the Arden College in Arden, Michigan.
So we've asked Mr. Whaley, our high school band director, to come this evening. This is a new request, not a past practice, and felt since it's a first-time request that it would be appropriate for him to explain his vision and why this would be so wonderful for our kids in the program.
Yeah, thank you for letting me come to speak tonight. It's been a really enlightening meeting, and I love how jovial the moments have been so far too. A lot of laughter, a lot of smiles, so it's definitely a healthy board. So we're discussing going away for a band camp rather than doing our general parking lot band camp. And the reason why I've been a teacher. I call it parking lot band camp, but parking lots are a lot better than grass band camps. So those ones you got to reschedule a lot. Like, well, it rained today, so put your boots on. But not to knock parking lots, they're great. But I have taught a few band camps that have gone away, and I want to explain a little bit about what it would look like to go away, how it would help us, and why I think it would help us grow our marching band. So first steps, what it would look like. We'd be leaving Sunday evening to go up to Adrian College. I'm an alumni of Siena Heights University, which is their competitors across town, but the Adrian music educators and the Siena Heights music education majors always get together to do stuff anyway. But originally we were saying we would like to go to Siena Heights. That's my alma mater. I know the professors in the program. I know how everything works. I've been on campus. And unfortunately, you remember that big cold snap that we had? Well, somebody left a dorm open, and it ruined the building and caused a couple $100,000 worth of damage. So our original plan was to go there, and they said, hey, we no longer have housing over the summer. We're still figuring out how we're housing the kids we have now. So fortunately, I have friends over at Adrian College, and they said, well, why don't you come over here? We have our own coordinator. I've been working with her for the last couple of months over proposals, what we would need, what kind of housing they can offer. And right now we're looking at staying in their dormitories, and obviously we have the 5-to-1 student to chaperone ratio, which is easy to fill right now. We have plenty of parents interested. I've sent out a few forms for parents, for students. First one that went out to parents was basically 3 questions. It was, do you think you could financially afford something in the $200 range? Yes, no, maybe if we had some help. And 95% of people said, yeah, no problem. The second one is, do you have any issues outside of money, scheduling personally with this camp? And we had a couple parents who said, I really don't like the idea of my child going anywhere. A couple who said money again, even though we'd already discussed it, but you guys have worked with people before. People will often re-answer the same questions. But generally, nobody had any issues with the camp, except for a couple parents who were vehemently against losing their kids for a week, which was understandable. And the third question was, do you have any issue with the educational value that this camp could offer? And it was kind of my way of saying, like, aside from your scheduling, aside from your money, what else is preventing you? And overwhelmingly supportive for that. So far, we have our booster meetings. We hold them once a month. And we had record attendance at our last one. We had in the mid-20s, which is really, really good for parents coming to any kind of meeting. And we tacked on a bunch of stuff to that meeting, try to get as many people there as possible to discuss it. And the booster's organization would also like to help students afford this. Before asking if anybody could afford it, they wanted to take $50 off the price before we asked if anybody needs any more help. What it would look like is our payment, it's looking in the mid-200s. And it really depends on how many people we have go, what our official time of getting there is, but it would afford us our breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. It would also afford us getting access to all their facilities and to their staff. And what I really appreciate about that is the reason I wanted to do this at Siena Heights University, and that it works really well at Adrian College as well, is that there's a bunch of students there who need to get hours for their education classes, and they will work for free. And as long as they fill out our background check and pass for us, then they can come teach our students, and we can supervise them and help them learn, how do you teach sectionals, how do you do this? And it also gives our students access to the collegiate educational experience. And the third tertiary part is it's also letting those professors recruit for their programs and helping us make ties to colleges. But how it would help us grow, number one is interest. we had 27 students in the marching band this year. And when I sent out a survey asking students, money aside, are you interested in being in marching band this year? And we had, from our freshman to junior class, we had 28 responses. So already we had more interest in marching band this year than we have in the one we just left. And in our middle school, one subject of growth that I'm offering is upcoming 8th graders. I would like for them, upon pending my approval, to be allowed to be in marching band. And that's kind of a twofold thing. They have to have good grades, they have to have good behavior, and they have to quote unquote audition, but it's a middle schooler. They just have to play for me so that I can say, yes, we can write something for you. The beauty of marching band is I can always rewrite any parts. And the judges don't get scores. As long as they like what they hear, they don't mind. I can make it as easy as hard for any student as possible. In the middle school, we have about 30 to 35 people interested in our upcoming 8th grade, which is the majority of our upcoming 8th grade. So that's people who are interested, and you all know 8th graders. Some of them are like, yeah, I'm totally interested, but once they realize it's a real commitment, I think we'll lose a few of those numbers. But I think it looks like a very healthy growth in the program. I have a lot of students very excited for it. A couple of the upperclassmen are the ones most worried about, hey, how is this going to change the culture of our program? So I spent a lot of time talking to them personally, me to them, me to their parents. I've invited some of the students to come to our booster meetings to give their opinions so I could talk to them directly and have a conversation between all three sides of this. And we've worked a lot of it out, trying to help them find a way to say, hey, this is a good change, because change is hard for students. And this is a good change, and how can I learn from this? And what kinds of things and camaraderie can we build by going away to a camp? But so far, it's looked very positive, so I'm very excited about the prospects.
So is this something that is ran by the college, or is this something that basically it's a place to go, you have all of these people, and you're running it?
So we would be renting their facility, but running our own camp. But it's kind of a 50-50, because this college also hosts the Cavaliers over the summer. This is a DCI group. And so they know how everything works, they know how we use facilities, and we have a site coordinator who's going to be working with us throughout the week that we're there, so that if we say, hey, this is great, but we really need an indoor gymnasium stuff on Thursday so that we can have whatever event we have planned for that day. We don't have any indoor events planned except for getting out of the heat. But it would mostly be us, but we'd have a coordinator on site too.
Well, that's an awesome initiative on your part, because that's what kind of creates those memories and that community and camaraderie.
Definitely.
I mean, with sports teams and certainly now with our music program. So kudos to you for taking that initiative and putting something like that together. That's a huge undertaking.
I think these are really nice comp. Like, we typically approve the football team to go to Franklin to do clinics, use the facility, and that's a big part of like the kickoff of the season. It's great to see that kind of an opportunity that's comparable, because obviously tremendous amount of pride, tremendous amount of commitment, and there's a reason that the program is so successful, and I love hearing that you're doing a similar thing for those marching band kids.
You answered all my questions in your presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and he had no notes.
That's
right.
the passion, yeah.
You know, before you step away, he talked about growth in the program. If memory serves me right, as I looked at the spreadsheet for middle school band for next school year, I believe we have in excess 250
Total
students
in the middle school, yeah.
in our middle school. So with him and Mr. Beck, I said no pressure or anything, but in 6 years, I would love to see our marching band in the Macy's Day Parade or a Bull Parade.
Yeah.
So this, again, can make Lowell shine.
Vision.
Yep, it starts with the vision, and then you get the right people on the bus.
Sounds good. Thank you for your presentation.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
thank
course.
you.
So our recommendation is to approve this overnight band camp. This coming.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Alrighty, consent items. Are these all donations? Yep, I'm gonna read them all. Number one, accept a donation from the members of the Journey Church Assembly of God of Lowell, Indiana, in the amount of $194.82 to help offset negative student meal charges in the district. Number two, accept a donation from T&B Tubing of Gary, Indiana, in the form of 1-inch and 2-inch square tubing valued at over $1,000 for the Lowell High School Advanced Manufacturing class. Number 3, accept a donation from the Lake Prairie Elementary School PTO in the form of 2 Farberware Classic 1.1 cubic feet, 1,000 watt high performance microwaves valued at $360 for the faculty staff lounges. Number 4, accept a donation from the Three Creeks Elementary School PTO in the amount of $658 to help fund the grade 5 Challengers study trip.
I'll make a motion to accept the 4 donations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public comment for non-related items. Tina?
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Anderson for the great presentation at the town hall meeting and moving forward. Next one, it was really good. And since she's not here, I wanted to thank Deborah for letting everybody see her property tax value so they can get an actual read on the thing.
And the funny part was, Deborah said, and if anybody's interested in buying it, it's we're glad that you're involved in being an informed citizen, and in being an informed citizen means coming out and showing up to get the facts, and so that it's mutually appreciated.
Thank you. Alrighty. Next meeting for the school board will be Thursday, March 23rd. And spring break is scheduled for Monday, March 27th through Friday, March 31st. Students will return April 3rd. Anything else?
I just want to compliment the board for wearing red tonight for our middle school kid Nico, who is up for a heart transplant, and there's a GoFundMe page circulating around, and he's one of Lowell's own, and so love it when this is sense of community, right? Standing by our people.
Absolutely. All right. Meeting adjourned.